Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to the online platform of Sri Gokulam Public School, Guruvayur. Children, in our last class, we were discussing about cash book. We saw that cash book can be divided into two, that is single column cash book and double column cash book. In double column cash book, we maintain two columns, that is one is for cash and one is for bank. All the transactions related to cash and bank are recorded through this double column cash book. Today we will discuss about the petty cash book. Do you know what is this petty cash book? In petty cash book, the petty cashier, he records all the small transaction or the transaction which has small amounts are recorded in this petty cash book. So all the small expenses you can find in this petty cash book. Let us discuss more about petty cash book. So children, as I told you, today's our topic for discussion is about petty cash. What is the purpose of preparing petty cash book? The main purpose of preparing petty cash book is to record transactions involving small amounts. So all those transactions which involve small amounts are recorded in this petty cash book. What do you mean by small amount? Transactions like purchase of stationery items, transportation, bus fare or canteen fees. So small expenses are recorded in this petty cash book. There are two systems of recording the petty cash book. The first one is simple system and the second one is Impress system. In simple system, an appropriate amount of cash is given by the head cashier to the petty cashier, and the record of the same will be handed over by the petty cashier to the head cashier at the end of that month. So whatever amount is spent by the petty cashier during that month towards these petty expenses will be recorded in the books of account, and the same will be handed over to the head cashier. So that is the system followed by the simple system of petty cash book. Under Impress system of petty cash book, an estimate of amount required for petty expenses for that period is made. So what the estimated amount, that is how much amount is required to meet these petty expenses during that particular period, that estimate is made, and that estimated amount is handed over by the head cashier to the petty cashier. The petty cashier, after meeting all the petty expenses during that particular period, he will be reimbursed the amount which have been spent during that period. During the beginning of that month, whatever amount is spent by the petty cashier, he will get back that cash during that starting of the month. So again he have the same amount which was there in the last month for meeting these expenses. So this system is known as Impress system. You will get a better idea about the Impress system when we do this problem. Okay. So now let us move to the problem section of this petty cash book.
Simple petty cash book. Here is the format of a simple petty cash book. In your left hand side you can see amount received. This is the amount which a petty cashier receives from the head cashier. Next is the ledger folio, cash book folio, date, particulars, again ledger folio, voucher number and amount. Now let us do one problem related to simple petty cash book. From the following particulars, prepare petty cash book for the month of April 2020. Here you can see the date is given. In the month of April, whatever petty expenses have taken place, that is been recorded in this transaction, in a transaction wise. So in particulars, the transactions are given to you, and in amount column, the amounts related to each of these expenses is given. Some additional information is also given. If the impress amount is rupees 5,000, impress amount means the amount which is given by the head cashier to the petty cashier. Show what amount the petty cashier would be entitled to draw in the beginning of the next month. So this is a fixed amount which the head cashier will pay in the beginning of every month to the petty cashier, so that these petty expenses can be settled. So now let us move to the solution part of this question. At the title, as the title, you have to write petty cash book. Then what format we saw in the earlier slide, that same way you have to prepare this. Amount received, ledger folio, cash book folio, date, particular, ledger folio, voucher number and amount. So in a box, very neatly you have to prepare this. The first thing what you have to write is the date. 2020 is the year. 1st April is the first transaction which is taking place. What is written over here? 1st April, drew for petty cash. It is on 1st April that the head cashier is giving 5,000 to the petty cashier. So that you have to record as, in the date you can write April 1, to bank account. So from the firm or from the business, an amount of rupees 5,000 is given to the petty cashier. So you have to write to bank account, and in the amount received column you can write 5,000. So this 5,000 will be used to pay off these expenses. Using this 5,000, these expenses are paid off. Now let us see what are the expenses related to the month of April. April 3, paid for postage 300. So this is the first expenses. So in April 3, you have to write by postage account. In amount column, you have to write rupees 400. Next is on April 5. Telephone expenses paid. The amount given to you is 400. That you can record in the particular columns as April 5 by telephone expenses account 400. Next is on April 8. Paid for cartage 140. Write down in the date column as April 8 by cartage account. You can write the amount as 140. Next expenses is related to April 9. Paid for postage 200. That also you can record as April 9 in date column by postage account. The amount you can record 200. Next is on April 12 by sundry expenses account. The amount given to you is 100. So same you can record looking into the question. The last transaction is on April 27 by stationery account 300. So after posting all the related expenses from your question, you have to make total of the amount column. As you know, 5,000 is the amount received by the petty cashier to pay off these expenses. So at the end of the month of April, you have to, that is the last date of the month April 30th. You have to write here by balance carried down. So from this 5,000, you have to deduct all these related expenses of the month of April. After deducting this amount, you will get the balance of 3,560 remaining. So this much cash is there at the end of April 30. From this 5,000, how much is left? A cash balance of 3,560 is left. This amount you will carry to the next date of the next month, that is May 1. So at May 1, how much is your brought down money? Out of this 5,000, you have the remaining money is 3,560. That you will bring to the next month, that is May 1. So at the bottom you can write to balance brought down. May 1 is the date, and amount you should write in the amount received column as 3,560. See children, every month the main cashier should have 5,000 in his amount column, so that he can spend the amount coming towards petty expenses in the month of May. Here on May 1st, again the head cashier, he should reimburse the amount of 1440 so that the total of 5000 the petty cashier can receive to pay off the petty expenses related to May 1st. That amount you have to write in particulars as to bank account. So to bank account May 1, 1440. How you receive this cash? 5000. From 5000 there is cash 3560 left in the month of April. So now the head cashier is supposed to pay the petty cashier 1440 rupees only. So this is how you have to show the petty cash book. Today we will discuss two types of petty cash book, that is simple petty cash book and analytical petty cash book. Regarding simple petty cash book, we already discussed in our last class and we did a problem also related to this cash book. Now let us discuss what is analytical petty cash book. An analytical petty cash book has two sides. Left hand side is used for recording receipt of cash and the right hand side is used for recording payments. In this book, a separate column is provided for recording a particular item of expenditure, that is postage, stationery, advertisement, etc. So children, analytical petty cash book is a cash book in which we record all the expenses, or we can say those expenses which with a small amount is recorded in analytical cash book. Let us see the analytical petty cash book with the help of a problem. So it is an illustration from your textbook. 12. Prepare an analytical petty cash book on the Impress system from the following. The year is 2020 and the transaction related to 1 week of January is given to you. So all those small expenses are mentioned over here. So let us start our working. Jan 1. Received for petty cash 10,000. Children, this is the amount which the head cashier hand over to the petty cashier at the beginning of the month or the beginning of the week. So the amount of 10,000 is handed over to the petty cashier by the head cashier. Now let us record this transaction. Before that, let us see the format of analytical petty cash book. At the top, you can write in the books of the company or the firm. Then write down the title, petty cash book. Prepare a box. Better, you can prepare it in a horizontal format. The first item in this format is receipt. Here you have to record the amount which a head cashier gives to the petty cashier. Next is date. Then comes voucher number. If it is provided in the question, then you can mention it. Otherwise, you can skip that. Next one is particulars. Then comes total payments. And the next column in front of you is for the all particular expenditure related to the transaction. So as and when you read the transaction, you have to draw the columns and you have to write down the items. Okay. Now let us start. As we read, the first transaction took place on January 1. So you can write here, you can do along with me. Write down 2020, then write down January 1. Voucher, if you want, you can write, otherwise you just skip out these numbers. Write down here in particulars to cash account. Okay. Then in receipt column, write down the amount as 10,000. Next transaction, let us move to the question. January 2. There are two transactions which have taken place in January 2. The first one is paid metro fare 50 and paid cartage 250. Both this expenditure is a different one. First expenditure is related to traveling expenses, or we can also call traveling expenses as conveyance. And the second expenditure is paid cartage. Students, when goods are transported from one place to another, it is known as the expenses related to that is posted under cartage expenses. So both these are two different types of expenditure. Let us pose these two items as January 2. Are you ready? So write down here January 2 by conveyance. We are not writing here metro charges, but we are writing here conveyance, because metro charges or transportation expenses comes under conveyance. So conveyance account, in total payment you have to write 50. The same amount you have to write under conveyance account. So you can prepare one column here and write down conveyance, and under that you can write 50. So in straight line you have to draw that. Okay. Again on January 2, one more item was that by cartage account. In total amount as given in the question, you can write down 250. This amount is given in the question. So same amount you can write over here 250. But 250 you have to write in a separate column. Prepare one more column and name it as cartage and write down that amount 250 over there. Okay. Now January 2, both the items are over. Now next item, let us see. On January 3, again two items are there. Paid for postage 500 and paid wages for casual laborers 600. So one is wages and the other one is postage. So again these two should be shown under separate heading. So January 3, let us pose this item. You can write down here January 3. Under particulars write down by postage account. Given in the question 500 is the total payment. Write down under total payment this 500 and prepare one more column and write down there at the top postage, and the transaction where you wrote this January 3 and this by postage and this payment 500, in the same line you have to write the postage also. Okay. And January 3, one more item was there by wages. So write down by wages. Total payment given to you in the question is 600. So wages is an item for which we are not supposed to draw any other headings, but we have to show it under sundries. Okay, sundries. So sundries means other expenses. So wages are shown under other expenses. So write down here sundries and put this amount of 600 over there. Now January 4. See, again two items are there for January 4. The one is paid for stationery and the other one is paid auto charges. Stationery we have to prepare a separate column, but auto charges will come under conveyance. So see here January 4 by stationery account, you can write payment side 400 and you have to prepare a separate column for stationery and write down there 400. And because auto charges is a transportation expenses, so we have already prepared one transportation or conveyance account. So under that you can write there by conveyance 200 and conveyance expenses you can write over here auto charges. Okay. Next item on January 5, you can see there are three items. Paid for repairs of chair, then paid bus fare and paid cartage. So bus fare will come under conveyance, cartage we have already prepared, and repairs. Repairs we have to separately show it in a separate column. Conveyance we have to show that, and cartage also we had already prepared one cartage account. So under that these three items related to January 5 will be shown. Okay. Remember it should be in a straight line. Okay. Now next item on January 6. There are four items coming under January 6. Paid for postage. We'll just go through that. Postage we have a separate column, isn't it? So postage, that will come under postage. Paid for conveyance charges, we have a conveyance column prepared. Cartage, January 6, again cartage, so we have that cartage account also. Telephone bill, as you see, telephone charges, we also have to prepare this extra column for telephone charges. So this is how under each item. See, January 6 postage, total the given amount you have to write 700 over here, and postage you have to write 700. You have already prepared postage account from one of the transaction on January 3. Conveyance already we have that. Cartage also we already have. Telephone expenses is the one extra we have prepared with January 6 item. Okay. Now all the transaction is over. Now an important part. What you have to do is, make total of each of this column. Okay, total payment plus each of this expenditure, you have to make a total. Draw a line, a neat straight line you have to draw, and then add each of the columns. After adding each column, what you have to write is, write down here January 6. Okay, after writing January 6, write down by balance carried down. Okay, did you finish writing this? So by balance carried down. Now just see children, 10,000 is the amount given by the head cashier to the petty cashier. Out of this 10,000, he spent 5,500 towards these expenses. Now how much cash is left with him? So 10,000 minus 5,500, you will get that amount. How much is left? He has the balance of 4,500 left with him. So that amount you have to write as by balance carried down. Did you finish writing this? Now you can draw a line and write down a total 5,500 plus 4,500, you will get 10,000, isn't it? Now next what you have to write is, next line you can write January 7. Why January 7? Because new date starts. So next week. Okay, so next week on January 7, to balance brought down. So in the next week you have a cash balance left in the last week of 4,500 is the amount which is left. Okay, so that 4,500, you can see here 4,500, this is what you are bringing down. So that you have to write under receipt column. So you have a cash balance of 4,500 with you. To balance brought down. On the same date, January 7, to cash, again the head cashier appears and he gave an amount of 5,500 to the petty cashier. So again the petty cashier receive, already he have 4,500, now he received 5,500 from the head cashier. Now how much balance or how much cash he have in total to spend for the coming week? Again he have the 10,000 amount. So this system is known as the impress system. Why it is impress system? Because a fixed amount of 10,000 the head cashier is reimbursing in the every week. So every week he is getting that 10,000 amount from the head cashier. So children, this is how this problem have to be solved. Okay. So children, now it is time to conclude today's class. This chapter, that is cash book, all the topic is covered. In this chapter we saw simple cash book, or it is also known by single column cash book. We also learned the way to do the problem related to two column cash book, which is also known as double column cash book, where we maintain a column for cash and bank separately. We did the problem related to petty cash book with two types, simple petty cash book and analytical petty cash book.